It's you and me.
Private lesson, as I said. I'm
Yep.
feeling special.
Yep, you are. Don't expect this when you come to the university, though. Right.
Well, I would be surprised if that happened in the university.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to record this just because somebody else might want to play it back. I'll run through the presentation and then we can have a chat afterwards. You can ask me questions. Won't take long to go through the presentation.
All right.
All right. Okay then. So I'm Adam Barton. I'm Senior Lecturer for Computer Games. And this is the presentation for top up for level 6 for both games art and design. So we have 2 degree programs that are open to BIB students. We have the Honours BA Hons Computer Games Art and BA Hons Computer Games Design top up. And I teach on the art course. And I teach final year students on the art course. So why games? Because they make lots of money is probably the easiest way. We have another person. Hello, Jan. Hello, Jan. Can you hear me? Is it Jan?
In German, Jan.
Right. Okay. I'll go back a couple of frames. That's okay. I'd only just started. Melissa will forgive me, won't you? Right. Okay. So my name's Adam Barton, and I'm Senior Lecturer on Computer Games, and this is the presentation for BIB students for the top up and final level in art and design courses. So we have 2 courses, the BA Hons Computer Games Art, which I teach on. I teach final year students. And we also have the BA Hons Computer Games Design top up as well. So why games? Because they made a lot of money, 3 to 4 billion in the UK, and that's was quite a bit, increased quite a bit last year. We had something like a 200% growth factor last year, that's worldwide, which is pretty amazing. And again, in the UK, it employs over 30,000 people, about half of those, 15,000 in development. And now it's bigger than film and music combined. So it is a growing economy. So why come to Solent University? So our courses are employability focused. In other words, we have a great deal of focus on the value in terms of professional output, getting students ready to go direct into industry. So we've got good industry contacts, we have guest speakers, and we have some live events. We also have been awarded the Silver TEF for teaching. So TEF is basically an award that different universities get. They have different standards, gold, silver, and bronze, and we've been awarded the silver standard. We also have small class sizes. So class sizes are typically 22 students. If we have more than 22 students, we break them up into smaller groups. And then we have dedicated laboratories for computer games work, which align to the industry standard for the software. So first I'll discuss computer games art. So this is entry into the final year. So who is this for? This is basically for students who want to work in games as environment artists, character artists, and technical artists. And a lot of other artistic roles are kind of subcategories of this. So you have prop artists, vehicle artists, and weapons artists. They're all covered under the umbrella of what we do in the final year. And the art course is very much focused on specific areas of job roles and the skills that you need in order to be ready to start your career. So if you're thinking of applying for the final year, you should have a good understanding of 3D graphics, and you should have experience of using and creating 3D graphics. You should have good traditional art skills, so 2D art skills. You should have some experience of working with a game engine, and I would recommend Unreal Engine for that. And strong traditional classical art skills, such as understanding things like human anatomy and perspective, and things like the constructions of scenes and the readability of scenes and the composition. So in level 6, we have a new course next year, which is starting. So it's different from what is currently running. So semester 1 has 2 fixed units. One is called Studio Practice, and Studio Practice is basically where you work in a large group on a live project, creating the artwork for it. You are individually assessed on the Studio Practice group, but you're assessed as your contribution to the project. And there is also a project proposal unit. Both of these units are about 200 hours of work. The project proposal unit is where you try and design your final major project, which is in semester 2. So those are the 2 fixed units, and then there is an optional unit from which you get a choice of 2. They are Image and Truth, which is basically an investigation of representation in game art and game media. So in the recent history, game art has been striving for realism in the representation, but now it seems to be quite severely deviating as we get more creative outlets, especially within indie game development. And the other optional unit is graphics technology, which is very much focused on how the graphics is produced and the technology behind it. So it's for people who want to explore things like shaders or procedural artwork, those kinds of things. Again, that unit will be 200 hours of work. And then in the second semester, we have the Games Major Project, which is about 400 hours of work, which is an independent project that you design and build. And we also have a professional development unit, which is basically how you propagate your professional persona out into the real world. So things like networking, your social media, and your online presence. So we mainly use the following software. So we use 3ds Max and Maya a great deal. That's kind of the bulk of the work. Then we've got Photoshop and pretty much the Adobe suite. Unreal Engine 4 is pretty much the only engine that we use. You are free to use whichever engine you choose, but we specialize and we have a lot of expertise in Unreal Engine 4. We use Substance Designer, Substance Painter, ZBrush, and 3D Coat. We are looking at expanding the suite of software for next year. So there's a few things that we're still considering, but that's the broad substance of the tools we use. So we also use Marmoset Toolbag and Designer as well, but to a much lesser extent and not directly explicitly taught. So I've got some examples of typical artwork that is produced. So the modules are not quite the same because, as I say, the course has changed, but this is typical work that is produced for final major projects. So this is an environment piece from a couple of years ago. And then we have some stylized art. Again, you're free to choose how you deal with the representation of the artwork. Lots of students want to do realism because it's very popular for AAA gaming, but you can still experiment and work in mediums that are different from representation. And again, realism is a big part of what the AAA games industry want. So lots of students experiment with trying to get particular forms of realism. And we discuss in depth something called verisimilitude, which is the ideal about representing both the reality and something we call hyperrealism, or the cinematic reality, which is kind of a media expected representation of things. And character art as well. The two main job roles are character art and environment art. And character art is very appealing because you get to work on figures. Environment art is very popular in terms of jobs, because in the industry, environment artists tend to be outnumbered, tend to outnumber rather the character artists within a studio. So typical environment work will be constructing a set or a scene for a game. All the artwork in this presentation is done by final year students, both BIB students and students who are on the 3-year course. Students can also collaborate. This is a collaborative piece with students outside of the university, and it was done for a game mod, or a modification for a game. And this piece was from Tristan, who won awards. Again, we are quite strong in award winning, which I'll come to in a bit. And then we have the games design top up. So games design is for students who want to work as designers, gameplay designers, level designers, user experience designers, and VR and AR designers. And if you want to know the difference between the artists and the designers are about designing the feel of a game, what it looks like and how the player is going to feel when they're playing it. Designers are out to generate the experience, in other words, what the player will do when they're in the game. So in order to apply for the design course, we recommend that you have experience of 2D assets for games, 3D assets for games, so manipulating assets in game development and game engines, game development experience using an actual game engine to create what we call rapid development prototypes, so functioning games, and good writing skills. So the module structure for the top up is that in semester 1, there is the project, research and preparation, which is basically planning for the game design major project. That's about 200 hours of work. And then there are a choice of 2 optional modules from 4 modules to choose from. And in semester 2, there is the game design major project, and then there is your personal development. So the major project is you producing your actual game. So most design students actually build a functioning game. And then your personal development is about your professional profile and how you're going to present yourself. And that has a strong emphasis on your online presence and getting you networking with people in the industry. So those optional modules, the optional modules is that you can choose 2 from the 4. So we have experimental design, which is about innovating in game design mechanics. We have future-proofing design, which is basically taking a case study and examining the methodology. We have the studio practice unit, which is shared with the artists. So designers get to do the design work on the project. And then we have AI for games, which is about understanding how non-player characters in games function, make decisions, and navigate. But note that we can't guarantee that they all run, because when you split small groups into even smaller groups, you can end up with modules that don't have enough students on them. Okay, so here's an example of the kind of artwork that the designers produce, or a lot of it is imported from kind of resources or market stores, and then they actually make functioning games. So there's a couple of useful contacts there. The course leader for both art and games is Neil Brewis, and the head of department is Dr. Russell White. This presentation is also in the chat, so you can have a look at the PDF and you can access the links from there. In the chat, there is also a video, which is basically a link to the kind of industry outreach. It shows what we do when we host one of the shows. So we have some award-winning students. We've had, there's a competition called Grads in Games, Search for a Star. It's run by a recruitment agency. It's been running for quite a few years now, and for the past 4 years, we've had finalists who've run, who've got an award for being in the final groups. And we've also won quite a few times for character work, and I think we've only just won once for environment. We won last year. I'm not sure that that last 2 years is correct. I need to check that, but we certainly won last year with Tristan's entry. Also, we have been ranked in the top 20 by the rookies for the best game design and development schools in the world. So that's of all the schools in the world, we've ranked in the top 20, which I think makes us something like 3rd in the UK. So this is an example of character work from the Tristan, who won last year's Star Award. And then this is an example of one of the vehicles that was made, which was one of the runner-up entries in the previous year. So that concludes the presentation. I will now open it up for questions. Are there any questions for me?
Well, I just only have one question, because we are starting in the 3rd year, and like we go to the university and like immediately start with a bachelor's degree, and I'm a little bit concerned that this could be like very difficult starting in the 3rd year, missing the first 2 years. Like, what are your experiences with the difficulty or something like that from students who join in the 3rd year?
Yes, there certainly is a common theme from students who enter the final year, that they feel that they are disadvantaged. They're not. Providing you have a good background, the fact that other students have taken different modules isn't really the issue. We concentrate very much on upscaling students in the final year, and that's not just our students, that's BIB students as well. We tend to find that if you put the work in, the results come out. So we do know that a lot of students from some of the BIB universities talk about the fact that they don't have the same specific training that we give to our 1st and 2nd years, but the fact that you have more generalized training tends to balance out. So what we tend to do is allow all of the students to focus on their strengths. But we also do a lot of work to upscale students in the first semester. And some of the artwork that you've been looking at is BIB student artwork. And BIB students, you know, they typically get the same kind of grades that everyone else does. So BIBs do finish with, you know, first class honours degree. There's no disadvantage. It comes down to how hard you're prepared to work. Does that kind of answer the question?
It did, thank you. Just because I didn't know really how to do the bachelor's degree, so I'm a little bit concerned, like going to university and start like right at the point with my.
So providing, I mean, a good suggestion is that you have a portfolio interview. So we look, if we can get to look through your portfolio, we can advise you on how you could prepare for next year. And again, we're quite happy to do a second portfolio review before your final application to make sure that you are where we would like you to be. And we are very conscientious at those interview stages, because it will be me or Neil looking at your work and saying whether you're ready, and we won't put you on a unit and stress you if we don't think that you're capable of going through that unit. So portfolio, show us a portfolio is the best solution. We're quite good at judging whether people are ready for the final year through their portfolio.
All right.
Okay.
I'm a little bit less concerned now.
Okay. You can trust us. That's the key thing. You can trust us, because we've worked with students. We've been using the same kind of method for assessment, and we've been working with BIB students for about 3 or 4 years now. So we know what we're looking for, and if we see your portfolio and we can see gaps in it, we'll tell you what to work on.
All right, perfect.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question. There are some suggestions for portfolios from your side. We said there have to be some environment and characters, or some other tips, maybe.
So are you thinking of applying for the art course or the design course?
Art course.
Right, okay. So if you're thinking of applying for the art course, then the portfolio should have examples of 3D graphics, 2D graphics, in-engine artwork, and some traditional artwork. So life drawing.
Yeah, okay.
And it's quality, not quantity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Is there anything else I can help with?
For now, I'm very happy.
Good. Okay. I like it when potential students are very happy. I like it when my students are happy. Well, if we don't have any further questions, I think we can round it up. I'll give you a moment to think about whether or not you have any other questions. You can, if you do have questions afterwards, because that's usually how it goes, is you get asked if you have any questions, you can't think of any, then the moment the call ends, you think, oh, I know. then you can contact Neil or Russell, and they'll forward. They usually forward the email to the appropriate person to answer the question. And this presentation and the video is in the chat, so you can always get hold of somebody. So both of you are thinking of being artists?
Yes, I'm a character artist most of so that's my interest, and I hope I can be a character designer afterwards as well.
Cool.
So I don't have any questions right now, but maybe it's just because at the weekend I was like 2 hours on the internet and viewing all websites and everything. So yeah, I think I know everything I wanted to know.
Good, good. Okay. And Jan, are you happy?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. I think we'll wrap it up. You're free to go. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for your time at the presentation.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day.